Hey guys, we're on number 3 of our photo correction project, and we're going to go ahead and I'm in Canvas. We're going to click on our link. Today we're going to work with black and white and monochromatic images. Notice this is 20 points, which means you're going to have 2 photos for this particular portion of the project. You could do both of them at once, which is why I lumped them together. So with this project, you can manipulate either 1 or 2 photos of your choice. The content, what's on that picture, doesn't matter. It can be old, it can be new, whatever you want, just a photo that you like. And make sure that you save the before and afters. I need to see the before and after so I can see your changes. Save your finished project on your H drive. So save your picture that you make black and white, the title. Your file title needs to be black and white, and your file title for your monochromatic picture needs to be monochromatic. So I know what I'm looking at. And then the project should demonstrate your use of your layer actions and your use of your action panel. So let's go ahead and click this. And here's the steps for what you guys are going to be doing. I'm going to go ahead and move these steps over to my other screen so I can read them and use Photoshop at the same time. First thing, let's open up an image that we like. So we're going to use our bridge, File, Browse and Bridge. Hopefully you guys have recognized the fact that this is really one of the best ways to open up your image so you can see the actual pictures. And then I'm going to go back to the Student G drive. You can use your own photos. This is just, I'm using the Student G drive because that's what I have available. So I'm going to go to Stock Photos, and then I'm going to find a picture of a chicken to turn black and white. And let's take this particular image right here. I'm going to alter that, minimize bridge. And first thing I'm going to do is, this is going to end up being a nice picture, so I want to crop it. And you don't have to crop your images. Notice that this is clear up here. You want to hit clear. You don't have to crop your images, but I'm choosing to crop my images because I might want to keep this. It might be kind of an interesting picture. Okay, hit enter or commit. And if I really wanted this picture, I'd probably go through and get rid of this. It looks like a Ziploc bag. I'm not sure what's in there. I'd go through and get rid of this Ziploc bag, maybe use the cloning stamp or something of that nature to get rid of it. So the next step. So I'm going to teach you guys about a couple of different ways to work with your image. 2 important facts. When you make changes to a photograph in Photoshop, you can make destructive changes, meaning that you harm the original picture, or you can make non-destructive changes, meaning that you're going to save the original image so that if you ever want to go back to it, you always have that original picture to go back to. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a destructive change. This destructive change, I want you to try, but you're not going to turn in the destructive change. So to make this destructive change, I want you to always pay attention to your layers. And I'm going to go ahead and close out the info panel. Pay attention to your layers. See this background? This is your original picture. This background layer is showing that this is your original picture. So that destructive change, step 1 in Canvas, says that you need to go to Image, Mode, Grayscale. So let's try that. Image, Mode, and then Grayscale. To make this image a black and white or a grayscale image, it will discard all of the color information, meaning that it will throw it away. So, like I said, this is not the image we're going to turn in. This is what we're going to do to compare the before and after quality of our image. So we're going to hit discard. And you can see right here that now the image is black and white. Our background layer is also black and white. So now let's take a look at what we've done. you're going to go to your history panel. If you don't see your history panel, you can see mine right here. It's these little 3 dots and an arrow pointing back to the front, back to the top. You can go to Window and then go down to History, and then that will show you your history panel. Okay? History panel. Here's what I've done. I've opened up my image, I've cropped my image, and then I've taken my image back to Grayscale. In your history panel, what you can do is you can click on Creating New Document from the Current State button at the bottom of your history panel. So you can see this little icon right here. If I hover over the top of it, it says Create a New Document from the Current State. So I'm going to go ahead and click that and look over here. Do you see I have a new tab? This new tab is titled Grayscale 50%. In this particular tab, which I'm in right now, I know I'm in because it's lighter gray, I can see my history. In my history panel, I can see that here's the document, and I've just duplicated the original document, and there we go. If I go back to my original picture, I still have my unchanged picture right here. So now that I'm back in my original document, we're going to make sure that we save this, but we're going to back up here just for a second before we save it. So we're going to go to our history panel, and we're going to click on the original open state. Now here's where you need to make sure you save this. Save your original image in your H drive. You need to make sure that you save this as your black and white image as your name in your creative folder under your photo correction folder. Okay, so now in the adjustments panel, we're going to click on the create a new black and white adjustments layer. So here's our layers panel, and now we're going to go over to our adjustments panel, and if you hover over the different options on here, you can click right here. So it says create a new black and white adjustments layer. So we'll click that, and it automatically made this image black and white. So now you can see that your adjustments panel tells you basically where our reds, yellows, greens, cyans, blues, and magentas are. You can actually take a specific group of colors and make individual changes to your document based on the specific colors. If you remember this particular picture, there was a lot of green in here. So if I wanted this green to be a little darker so I could bring out the chickens, I can make that green slightly darker. You just notice that it's only changing my greens in here. Slightly darker, which gives my chickens more contrast. It brings them out. I can make them lighter, but it doesn't do a whole lot to my chickens. It almost has too many highlights. So we're making artistic judgments here on what you like and what you don't like. The chickens are kind of a brownish reddish color, so let's play around with the reds and see if we can make them lighter, darker, or just basically back at that 50%. And I'm going to put this at 50% and see what that does. And I kind of like that. Blues, I don't think that I had a whole lot of blues in here, so you can see I'm not changing the document very much when I do that. Same thing with the cyans. I think the chickens had a little bit of yellow in there. And what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the individual feathers on this chicken. And these are my chickens, guys. This particular chicken is called, the type of chicken, it's a Buff Orpington, and we named all of our chickens names to help us remember the type. And it's a, so it's a Buff Orpington, and so her name is Ophelia. And I can make her a little bit lighter, a little bit darker, but what I'm doing is I'm looking at the details in her feathers. I like that texture that's in her feathers, and I want to keep that. So if I make it too light, that texture goes away. So I'm just going to try and go for a mid-tone. And I like where it's at right now, so I'm going to go ahead and keep that change. The next thing I want you to do, and I'll grade this, I'm going to look for these layers to see that you did these adjustments correctly. I'm going to go back to my adjustments, and I'm going to go to the levels. And you guys are familiar with this from one of your from one of your projects from lesson 2. So click your levels, and then here we can again go back and change our black and whites. So you can take your dark areas and make them a little bit darker, but notice these details right here. Watch what happens when I make it darker. So here's the beginning. See how I'm losing those details? It almost looks like she's too skinny. So I'm going to leave that back where it's at. Here's my highlights. And once again, I'm losing too much detail if I change this picture. Here's my midtones. Let's see what happens if I change the midtones. And I think I'm just going to change my midtones and make them a little bit darker in this picture, but leave it right there. So I'm pretty much happy with this image. Let's compare the two. So here's our document with the destructive changes, meaning that I no longer have my background layer. And then here's my document with the non-destructive changes, meaning that I still have my background layer. I was able to go through and make more of more artistic choices. Save this work as a Photoshop document. File, Save As. This is going to be your black and white. Go back to your H drive. You need to go to your computer graphics folder. You're going to save it in your photos for altering. No, sorry. Save it in your photo correction unit. And then this is my black and white. Hit save. And this one's ready to be turned in. Remember, the original document needs to be saved. Okay, so the next thing is you're going to learn about making this image monochromatic. And I'll continue this on a new video.